Hello and welcome to Powerful PowerPoint. In this session, I'll be covering the merge shapes function. Did you know that merging shapes was possible within PowerPoint? You can create unique shapes, unique designs, and you can also cut stuff out of shapes. And I will show you that in this session. Now we're just going to move over to this slide I have here. And as you see, I have a couple shapes here already. And what I'm going to do, for example, is I'm going to select this shape which I have here, which is made of 3 rectangles, 2 orange ones, and 1 big grey rectangle. And as you see, they overlap at the moment like this. Now, where you can access this feature is in a very good place. It's in the Shape Format box tab at the top of your ribbon. And then if you go to the far left-hand side under the Insert Shapes area of the ribbon, you'll see Merge Shapes. And in there you have 5 choices. The first one is Union, and that will join all your shapes together. So if I click on Union, for example, you see we now have one big shape with these 2 overrunning pieces. And I'm just going to hit Control Z and take that back. And I'm going to go to Merge Shapes, and we have Combine. Now what Combine does is it combines the shape and removes any sort of overlapping pieces. So here you can see we've got that function there. So let's hit Control Z and let's go and look at the next one, which is Fragment. Fragment I think is a really interesting one where you can fragment all the pieces of your objects. So as you see, we've got this piece here, which is now separate to the full orange box that was there previously. Let me just change this into a different color like the gray it was before. And I'm just going to start dragging this. And as you see, it has now fragmented it from the rest of its shape. Now I could do that again by holding control and selecting the gray box and then going to fragment one more time. And as you can see, I fragmented it even more. And as you see, we now have a unique shape here as well. Now I'm just going to Control Z back. Now I'm going to select intersect from here. And as you notice, I've got all these 3 shapes selected. And if I go to intersect, it isn't showing anything as a result. Intersect is best used using 2 objects. So I'm going to select this, for example. If I go to shape format and merge shapes, if we go to intersect, we now see the intersection. Now, for those of you might say, actually, it's just the same rectangle, but just um, in a different color. But that isn't the case if we zoom in here. If I add in a line now, you can see that it has made it shorter as well, which was in line with what the grey box was previously. So it does intersect and just takes whatever crosses over between the shapes. And the best use case is using it for 2 objects. And then the final one, which is one that I sometimes use quite a lot, which is subtract, which removes the shapes. It removes shapes from one of your shapes. So as you see here, I've now got the grey back and I've got a grey E that I've made out of rectangles. Now I'm going to show you it using other shapes because I'm conscious I'm only demonstrating it with rectangles. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to select my triangle. And I'm just going to put that here, for example. It's a little big, so I might make it a little bit smaller. Let's say I want it to overlap about here, roughly. Now, if I select it with the 2 other rectangles I have, you see the merge shapes is still visible. I could make a union, for example, and join it all together. It looks like a very unique and slightly badly drawn star. Um, you can also do combine, fragment, and you can also do subtract. And as you see with subtract, it's taken the most furthest back item that has been selected, in this case the red rectangle, and it has subtracted the green rectangle and the blue triangle from it. And that demonstrates how subtraction works. Now I'm going to move on to something a bit more fancy, a bit more advanced with merging shapes, and show you how it also works for not only merging shapes. So as you might see here, there is this fancy overlay on top of the earth with the text earth. Now I'm going to show you how you can create something like this yourself. And let's start off with the background picture of earth. Now what we're going to do is we are going to first of all put a rectangle on top of it. So I'm just going to come up here to the shapes tray and I'm going to select the rectangle, and I'm going to go to the top left of the slide, and I'm just going to create that on top of the whole slide. Now I'm just going to remove the outline. I don't want that visible. And now we have our shape defined. Now what we need on top is we need somewhere to write our text. You might be thinking, oh, can we do it in the shape? No, and there's a reason for this, which I will demonstrate and explain in a little moment. We're going to use the text box icon and tool to create this text overlay. So I'm going to select the text box with the letter A in that you might see from the shapes tray, and I'm just going to draw it on top of here. And as you see, it's created a text box. Now here we're going to type in the word earth. I want it in bold. Say I want it in my specific font, and I'm just going to get it a little bit larger so it fills up my screen a bit more. So that looks a bit more fitting almost. And I'm just going to drag it so it goes to the edge of the slide and that my text is centered. And if you want to center your text on the slide, you can also do that as well by going to Arrange, Align, and Distribute vertically. And the reason why we do a text box with the text on separate to the actual shape we did is so that we can use the subtract function in the merge shapes feature, which I demonstrated earlier with the rectangles and the triangle. So we're going to select this rectangle, and then we're going to hold control, and then we're going to select the text box with the word earth. Now we're going to go up to shape format, and what I'm going to do is click on merge shapes, and we're going to hit subtract. Now as you can see, we can see the word earth poking through, and it looks pretty nice, but I want to see a bit more of the earth, and I don't really like this blue, but we can keep the blue for now. What you will do is you'll go to the shape styles, and there's going to be a little pop out to the format shape, which will bring out a pane on the right hand side. Then you'll go to fill, and as you see, it's a solid color fill. And what we're going to do is we're going to increase the transparency to about, say, 30-ish%. And as you can see, the picture of the earth starts coming through. Now you can choose the color you want. I'm going to choose green in this instance. It looks a little too bright. I can also increase the transparency to make it a little less prominent. Most people generally use white in cases in scenarios like this. You can choose and change the transparency as you want, and now you have a more aesthetically pleasing and unique slide design using the merge shapes function. Stay tuned for more powerful PowerPoint.